Round 2 is a go. And definitely playing wilds on turn 1. And I believe that I'm just going to get a forest. My only blue source is a caryatid. And I think that generally it lives. Temple of Silence could mean Mardu, could mean Crackling Doom. But I should be able to get Sidisi out there before any Crackling Dooms. But I think he's probably just Abzan anyway. I guess I'll just get the swamp out there. So, trying to fade a Thoughtseize because I really only have one business spell in my hand. Well, we'll see what happens. I don't know. Could certainly be Mardu, could just play out like a Seeker of the Way or something, but hopefully it's just an Abzan deck and I play Sidisi, get a zombie, and put something like Soul of Innistrad in the graveyard. That would be the perfect scenario. Alright, so it does look like he's Abzan, and it's just going to play his own Caryatid. I don't know how to pronounce card names. So, play Sidisi, hit a Doomwake Giant. Other than that, not super exciting, but did get a zombie, which is pretty nice. If he kills our Sidisi, then at least we have this zombie left over, but does go for the Thoughtseize and is just a little late on that. I'm pretty happy to see that. Leaving me with a couple of somewhat useless Murderous Cuts. Curious. I assume the Sidisi is going to die. That's my guess. Yeah, downfall. Get to get my hit in with the zombie, which is pretty good. He did take a point from his Llanowar Waste, but other than that, he has, he needed 3 black mana symbols that turn. That's the only reason he took the point, so I think I'm fine playing this. I don't think it's going to help him too much. And now we just have a pile of Murderous Cuts and a zombie. There's a Courser, hits the land immediately. Sort of unfortunate. And I'm just going to kill this thing right now. There is some consideration to just holding my land in case I draw a Courser, but I don't know. Elspeth, that's a really good Magic card, and I have these stupid cuts instead of downfalls, so not in a great spot. We're gonna make sure to keep this zombie alive in case we draw Doomwake. So at least we have a way to pressure Elspeth a little bit. But right now, definitely don't like my spot here. Another Courser, hits a land immediately. Downfall on top is probably going to stop any further shenanigans on my end. And he's going to go for a Read the Bones. So, I like this matchup, but obviously I'm getting crushed right here, so what are you going to do? And I'm just going to pack it in, because I'm not going to be able to beat that Elspeth. He has a downfall. Almost certainly not coming back. So, love the Ashioks, love the Kioras, love the Read the Bones, and the Strokes. And generally what I do in this matchup is take out Caryatids, Thoughtseizes, and Sages, and keep in everything else. And since I've been doing that, there have been some games where I've been a little light on blue mana. So maybe I want to keep in a couple Caryatids. I also wouldn't mind keeping in one Sage to kill some coursers and whatnot, but I'm just going to get those out of here. Yeah, I'm just going to sideboard the old way. I think it's fine. We have 12 sources of blue, and I like all the other cards. It is certainly not perfect, and maybe you have to mulligan a little bit more aggressively than you would like. So we are going to play first again, and we have good mana, so that is a good sign, especially since we have an Ashiok. The rest of our hand is not great, certainly, but I think it's doable, and I guess this Delta, I don't know, like if Delta gets an island and Wilds gets a forest, then we have 2 green, but we don't have 2 black. So I kind of feel like I have to get a swamp with one of these. I'm definitely playing Wilds on turn 1. I'm not sure what I'm going to get yet. I think I would rather have 2 green in case I draw a Courser, which is kind of weird to say because it requires me to actually draw a card instead of like cast the one that I have in my hand, but I also have a lot of black sources. Yeah, Freaka's pretty nice. Certainly not bad. And just trying to fade a Thoughtseize and a Downfall. I think we can beat most everything else. Now we're just loading up on fatties here, which is not the best. So alright, try and fade a Downfall. We actually hit a creature. How exciting. Could have potentially hit the card he scryed at the top, which might have been the Courser, actually. Don't Downfall me, please. No, I put the card on the bottom. So, ends up running a Courser out there, and now I think I just want my own Courser. Kind of risky, obviously, if he kills my Courser and then attacks my Ashiok, but if he had a removal spell, it would be if he had a removal spell for Ashiok, it would have been a Downfall. So he probably doesn't have that, because I don't think he would just let me get a Courser. He could have an Abzantron, but that doesn't kill Courser. It just means that he gets a big Courser, which I could potentially Downfall. And we just have a Satyr on top, so not the best. Especially since we drew this Hornet Queen. It's not really what we want. And we just run Freak out there. And yeah, hopefully he doesn't actually have a removal spell, because that would set me back a lot. Yeah, I guess it could have been an Utter End that he had, which can now Utter End the Courser and attack the Ashiok. That would be good for him. But just reading some bones, I like to see that. Drew Utter End Nissa. And is going to keep that Doom Blast on top. Which is reasonable. Like, maybe he doesn't actually want the Doom Blast, but knows I'm just going to Ashiok him this turn, so it's not a creature, so might as well just keep it on top. And we hit a land, and not a land on top, unfortunately. It's okay, though. Alright, so we're slowly crawling our way out of this. Just inching our way back. Nissa, Utter End, and a Citadel for our opponent. In his 8-card hand. Jeez, that's massive. And he did board and Drown in Sorrow, so that's good to know. And it does not look like he's Utter Ending me. Might want to save it for the Sidisi. Honestly, I'd rather have a Courser instead of a Sidisi. So I'm glad he's not killing that Courser. And he just had an Abzan Charm. Okay. So now we get an extra land. Whee! Love it. Might be able to weather the storm here and actually resolve a Hornet Queen. It'd certainly be nice. This deck at times could really use a Faithless Looting or a Brainstorm, because you end up with hands like this where you're just like, I have a bunch of big things that I would probably rather mill than have in my hand, but that's fine. They're still perfectly serviceable Magic cards. And in matchups like this, the games generally go pretty late. So, opponent has an Utter End and an Abzan Charm. And from playing against this deck, one thing that I've realized that they do is just hold the Abzan Charm until you turn Pharika on. So I don't really want to make that trade. I would rather just have them have an Abzan Charm in their hand because it's not that good against me. So we'll see. Maybe I want to turn this Pharika on and maybe I don't. I feel like there's going to be a turn where I'm going to want to play Doomwake and activate Pharika, so hopefully it does not get Utter-Ended, and hopefully I am able to not turn it on so he can't Abzan Charm it. But if the game just kind of plays out in such a way that that happens, it's not the end of the world. I'm still doing okay, but just something to be aware of. You don't want to necessarily let them make very good one-for-one trades with their cards that are otherwise not that good. Alright, so just going to jam a Nissa out there. And we have a Swamp on top. That's perfect. Multiple Swamps on top. And here I'm building up towards Ashiok's ultimate, I think. So I don't mind getting his land out of there. It makes him next turn, maybe not next turn, but at least the turn after, have to use his mana to Utter-End it. So here, I could downfall the Nissa, and I think I want to because that might end up being a problem. I might not be able to beat a bunch of 4/4 Tramplers. I could certainly just try and run Doomwake out there and have a blocker, but then he makes another 4/4 and has multiple removal spells, so I don't think it's right to try and turtle up behind that. So I'm just going to downfall the Nissa, not turn on my Pharika. We'll probably make a Snake end of turn. Or if he wants to trade Forest for a Snake, that'd be fantastic. I would certainly snap off that trade. So our opponent is drawing his second copy of Utter-End, I think? Or is that a third one? So it looks like we're past his draw step. Interesting. It's a lot of those. Although I could be missing something. I don't think I am, but I could be. Multiple Dune Blasts. I think I'm safe from Dune Blast then. Alright, Citadel's gone. And we are going to get this courser out to make a snake. And now he's going to go for Utter End on Farika. Okay. Alright, so now we have Ashiok at 10, so this demands an answer, essentially. And now we are going to make some Hornets, which also presumably demands an answer. So if he has something like Utter End and Drown in Sorrow, that would be poor. But at the very least, now he has to spend his mana answering my things, and I can just reload with more things next turn. So I think I'm kind of turning the corner here, starting to get ahead a little bit. And it looks like he left in a couple Caryatids, which I don't really advise, although his mana curve is particularly high, it looks like. A couple Nissas. I really do think I saw the third Utter End. So his curve is pretty big. Yeah, that is the third Utter End. So Ashiok's out. All the Utter Ends are gone. Still has an Abzan Charm. But it appears that our bees are alive. So I don't want to commit more to the board than what I need to. I feel like I'd be better off just saving these Doomwakes. So yeah, we'll just go to combat here. Try and undo some of the work that this Courser has done so far. And we're going to run Kiora out there, and I can milk this for value, certainly, but from my experience, it has just been better to tick up and, and threaten to ultimate, because the ultimate is actually pretty tough for them to beat outside of Elspeth. And since I have two Doomwakes in my hand, I like my spot against that. And he's going to draw 2 cards with the Charm, because, like I said, not a lot of value there. So Courser, Waste, Caryatid are the cards he picked up. Drawing some more cards. A Heath and a Thoughtseize with a Back to Nature on top. Ha! Back to Nature does not beat Planeswalkers and Bees, let me tell you. Back to Nature is a hell of a card if, against your deck, things like Doomwake and Whip are actually really good. But I don't need these Doomwakes until super late, and I would generally hold Whip until I could get an activation out of it anyway. So Back to Nature out of the Abzan control deck, like that might be a fine one of, but you definitely don't want to overload on things like that, because it's very rare that you're actually going to catch me with a bunch of things that it can kill. Like if you're going to play a race or something similar, then it is pretty reasonable to play a Back to Nature instead. Alright, so you just played out the Heath. What do we got going on here? Sacking the Heath, because that Back to Nature does nothing. And then we'll see if I get Thoughtseize this turn. It would be good, but what he really wants is a Drown in Sorrow. Not Sylvan Caryatid. That doesn't do it. This is going to Thoughtseize me, though. Presumably getting that other Hornet Queen out of there. Alright, play our land off the top. We have a Murderous Cut. I don't think that helps us. We're not necessarily trying to draw into that right now. So he's at 11 but can gain 2 next turn, so that's 13. So I do want to deal him 7 somehow to actually put him in a 2-turn clock. So I think the snake might be good to send. I'm also going to bubble the forest this turn. That's certainly going to happen. I was just going to chump. That's good. That's good. That's smart. Well, maybe I just want to draw this cut then. So I could draw the cut, kill a Courser, make sure he's dead next turn. But then I feel like I kind of want to commit a Doomwake Giant also, because then I don't have enough things to stop the forest from killing my Kiora, which is kind of a concern. We get to play an extra land off the top, which is sweet. So yeah, a little bit aggressive here, cutting this Courser, but I think it's right, especially since he blocked with Caryatid and he has an Urborg on top. I don't think he has a good way of beating all these bees. Yep, and that's it. So that was good. I like my play of that game. Worked out well. So opponent has a million Utter Ends, roughly a million. A bunch of Planeswalkers and a Back to Nature, although I'm not sure how much the Back to Nature should influence what I do. But I feel like I can board in a couple Thoughtseizes and cut a Whip. And I didn't see Rhino anywhere, actually. I think I can shave a cut as well. Because game 1, that was kind of the death of me. It was just having a bunch of Murderous Cuts. See, I think I like this. With him having a bunch of Doom Blasts, I definitely don't want Caryatids in there to just get swept up. I recommend to my opponent that he play some Siege Rhinos. Those cards are quite good. And we have a one-lander. As is the case with most one-landers, they look very tempting because they're full of great spells. But the games go long. I think I can afford to mulligan. And yeah, this hand is like the same hand but better. So last game we ran off the turn 3 Ashiok, and that was fantastic. This game I think is going to be a little different. It's probably going to be slower. We have 2 removal spells and a Read the Bone, so I think we're just going to be grinding a little bit here. And the ideal scenario for me is for my Read the Bones to not get Thoughtseized. So that is currently the plan. Is to have our opponent not draw Thoughtseize. And we mill an Ashiok. It's kind of sad. I like that card a lot. Yeah, when Ashiok first came out, I was like, yeah, this card stinks. And then I played against it, and it's just like, dear God, 5 loyalty? That's a lot. And Ashiok has basically been good ever since. So, hasn't seen a ton of play, but I'm not sure if that's just a product of the format being not quite there, you know. But now I think it is. And okay, so cutting this Courser is a little aggressive. I agree. But I don't have a Courser, and my hand is not great. I could certainly just Read the Bones and try and get a little bit ahead, but I don't want to give my opponent any extra value. He has his own Read the Bones. So should we bust this Wilds before we read some Bones? That makes sense, because we don't want to scry things to the bottom and then shuffle our deck, because that's kind of silly, and I don't think we're going to do anything for 1 mana. We could certainly Read the Bones into a Thoughtseize, but could just Thoughtseize him next turn. It's not the worst. And these 2 cards are both fantastic, so I'll definitely take those. And then hopefully he doesn't play something that I have to kill this turn, because I would really like to go Thoughtseize, play Kiora. But if I have to do something like Thoughtseize, downfall your Rhino or whatever, that's also fine. I guess I can Kiora the Rhino. But I kind of want to -1 this Kiora before he gets a chance to kill it, so I'm up the extra card. Well, that's pretty cool. Just didn't play anything. Hand of Dune Blasts, or... Didn't crack the Heath, so saving it for a Courser. Or wanted to draw lands, maybe both. So we're looking at a Charm, Elspeth, 2 Nissas, Utter End, and a Caves. Nissa is kind of good, and threatens our Kiora next turn, which is kind of unfortunate. But maybe I don't have to take Elspeth. Maybe I just have to take one of these Nissas. No, like, he's going to be able to kill Doomwake. So maybe I just have to take this Elspeth and, like, try and weather the storm of 4/4s. That doesn't seem like it's going to be very possible. So if I play Kiora, his plan next turn is to go Nissa, Humph your Kiora. That's just going to be a thing. And I don't really want that to happen. I'm not sure if I have any good play other than that, though. Maybe I'm supposed to just go Kiora minus, get my value, and, like, let it fog for a turn, untap, downfall the Nissa. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I can really do. Hello. That's what we wanted. I assume he knows that his Nissa land tramples, so I'm just going to attack. Alright, so Nissa, Utter End, Caves in hand. Nope, played the Caves. Nissa, Utter End. So I don't know 3 of his cards. He didn't play any of his new cards. So I could downfall Nissa, but he's just going to play another one, so that doesn't really help me. I think I just have to attack it down. And hopefully there's just no Drown in Sorrow in my future, because that would make me sad. Kind of like I was drowning in literal, actual, factual sorrow. Thoughtseize, your turn too late. Doomwake Giant. Why would you just snap off that? That's weird. Okay, you have 2 Thoughtseizes. That makes sense. And now are you going to drown me? Because if that happens, I probably can't win. I find it strange that you would snap off 2 Thoughtseizes if you're just going to die to insects, though. And curiously did not attack. Oh dear. So here's the deal. We have 6 coming at him. He's at 8. He's got a couple pain lands open. Can certainly Utter End this Hornet Queen. Does not look like he has a Drown, although could just trying to be setting me up. I don't know. But regardless, attack for 8. At least is going to take half his life total. Next turn can Nissa a land, so he has 3 lands, but can't play Nissa and animate another land. So I could have Siege Rhino. That would kill me, I think. 4, 8, 11. Yes, that would kill me. Unless I played this other Hornet Queen. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see if this Hornet Queen gets utter-ended. And if that's the case, then I'll probably just jam the second one just because this game is so close. And if he drowns me next turn, even if I play Hornet Queen, I'm probably just still dying to trample damage plus Siege Rhino. Alright, so this gets utter-ended. That's beautiful. So now we're just all in. No Doom Blast, no Drown in Sorrow, no nothing. Couldn't beat any of those cards if I played a little defensively anyway because of his Nissas. So a couple timely Hornet Queen top decks. Not too bad, not too bad. And then this is just it. This is game or no. And our opponent is thinking, so I hope that they're dead. Certainly seems like they're dead. Could just be getting slow rolled. I don't know. Situations like this are pretty fun just because it's like, well, I could hold this Hornet Queen, right, and try and play around it and stuff, but it doesn't do me any good, so just gotta jam. And our opponent wishes that he could draw a Wrath Ever. I understand. I know, man. I get it. But I had no option. I just played the cards as I drew them, so I apologize.